The sticky sweetness of melted chocolate, warm and cloying, began its slow descent, tracing a dark, unwelcome path down her temple, past her ear, and onto the pristine white collar of her silk blouse. Dr. Ava Sterling, a woman whose calm exterior belied a formidable intellect and an empire-building will, sat perfectly still. The raucous laughter, sharp and ugly, still echoed across the sun-drenched terrace of the Verdant Estates Country Club, a symphony of entitled amusement that had just reached its crescendo at her expense. A 12-year-old boy, Chase Montgomery, giggled with delight, his face flushed with the thrill of his petty triumph. Beside him, his mother, Bianca Montgomery, a vision in designer linen and too much Botox, clapped her manicured hands, her voice a cruel, triumphant shriek. "Yes, Chase, that's what happens when trash doesn't know its place." The woman, Ava, didn't flinch. Her gaze remained fixed on the quarterly reports scattered before her, now marred by dark, greasy splotches. Her fingers, though, curled almost imperceptibly, pressing white against the knuckles. It was a practiced stillness, honed over decades of deflecting microaggressions, of absorbing slights delivered with a smile, of navigating worlds not built for her. Today, however, the direct assault, the blatant cruelty, felt different. It was raw, undeniable, and perfectly illustrative of everything she had come to observe. Reginald Montgomery, Chase's father, a man whose expensive suit draped a posture of inherited superiority, rose from his seat, pointing a dismissive finger. "You're out now," he boomed, his voice carrying over the murmurs of the other diners, "before I have you arrested for trespassing." Ava's voice, a soft murmur that somehow pierced the din, floated across the terrace. "I was invited," Reginald scoffed, a theatrical snort of disbelief. "Like hell you were." The Verdant Estates Country Club, an exclusive bastion of old money and new ambition, sprawled across 97 manicured acres in Evergreen Hills, New York. Its emerald lawns, meticulously maintained by a crew of 5 groundskeepers and a multi-million-dollar irrigation system, shimmered under the July sun. Ancient oak trees, gnarled and wise, guarded the long, winding drive that led to the stately Georgian clubhouse. Bentleys, Maybachs, and Teslas gleamed in the valet circle, a silent testament to the wealth within. This particular Saturday, July 12th, the Summer Benefactors Brunch was in full swing. Inside, crystal chandeliers, heavy with centuries of dust and light, hung from vaulted ceilings adorned with intricate plasterwork. Oil paintings depicting stern-faced founders, all white men, all long dead, lined the walls. Freshly cut hydrangeas, their petals a vibrant, almost impossibly blue, filled the air with their delicate fragrance. A string quartet, tucked away in a corner, played an almost imperceptible rendition of Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Membership by invitation only cost a staggering $100,000 annually, with a waiting list that stretched a decade. But money alone wasn't enough. One had to fit. The admissions committee, presided over by Bianca Montgomery, had rejected 23 applications in the past 2 years. 18 of them had been from people of color. Servers, moving like ghosts in starched white gloves, glided through the opulent space. Most were young, Black or Latino, their eyes downcast, their movements practiced, deferential. They had learned the unwritten rules of this place. This was where Evergreen Hills elite solidified deals, arranged advantageous marriages, ensured their progeny attended the right Ivy League schools, joined the most prestigious firms, and married into the right families. It was a delicate ecosystem of power and privilege, carefully guarded. Dr. Ava Sterling had arrived at precisely 11:15 a.m. At 43, she held a PhD in theoretical physics from Caltech and was the visionary founder of Sterling Dynamics, a global leader in advanced sustainable energy solutions. Her company's last quarter had reported a staggering $850 million in revenue, employing over 15,000 individuals across 11 countries. Forbes had profiled her just 4 months prior, the headline blaring, "From dorm room dreams to green energy giant, the billion-dollar empire of Dr. Ava Sterling. Today, however, she had deliberately chosen to dress down. Dark wash jeans, a simple navy blazer from a mainstream department store, understated gold stud earrings, and her natural, intricately braided hair pulled back in a sleek bun. No designer labels, no ostentatious jewelry, no flashy accessories. She wanted to be a ghost, a presence that faded into the background. Arthur Finch, the club's president, had personally extended the invitation. He was courting Sterling Dynamics for a sponsorship, a $7 million commitment over 3 years for a cutting-edge environmental science program. The club, facing some lukewarm public relations due to recent controversies, desperately needed the positive publicity. Ava had agreed, but with one non-negotiable condition. She wanted to experience the club's culture firsthand. Not as Dr. Ava Sterling, the CEO, not as a potential donor, but as an unrecognized guest, a fly on the wall. She wanted to observe how the members treated those they assumed didn't belong. So, she had chosen a secluded corner table, her head subtly bowed over her electronic tablet, adopting the posture of someone's assistant, someone who had perhaps wandered in by mistake. Her smartphone, discreetly placed in her blazer pocket, had its audio recording app active, a silent witness. She had learned, through years of experience, to document everything, every casual insult, every subtle microaggression, every moment when people, unburdened by self-awareness, revealed their true selves. She had been reviewing the quarter's preliminary financial projections when the impact came. The soft splat of the chocolate croissant against her head. Now, the dark confection dripped down her neck, and the ruined documents represented not just wasted effort, but a chilling confirmation of her suspicions. Bianca and Reginald Montgomery sat 3 tables away, positioned at the coveted center terrace, boasting the most expansive view of the impeccably manicured golf course. Bianca, 45 and relentlessly pursuing an eternal youth through cosmetic procedures, had strategically placed blonde highlights in her hair, mirroring the sun's brilliance. Her Instagram feed, a meticulously curated tapestry of luxury lifestyle influence, flaunted over 60,000 followers. Her posts showcased leased Range Rovers, limited edition Hermes bags, and opulent weekends spent at their summer estate in the Hamptons. Each caption was a monotonous refrain. Hashtag blessed and grateful, hashtag living my best life, Verdant Estates vibes. She chaired the club's notoriously exclusive Ladies Auxiliary Committee, wielding significant power over the social calendar. Bianca decided who received coveted invitations, who gained entry, and, more importantly, who was definitively excluded. 2 years prior, her committee had successfully blocked 4 families of color from membership, citing vague concerns about cultural fit, preserving traditional values, and maintaining community character. Reginald Montgomery, 52, was the scion of a 3rd-generation fortune. His grandfather had founded Montgomery Holdings in 1948, a real estate conglomerate that now managed properties worth over $1 billion, sprawling shopping centers, glass and steel office parks, and ultra-luxury apartment complexes. Reginald, a master of inheriting, showed little talent for anything else. His company was currently vying for the largest deal of his career. Sterling Dynamics, Ava's company, required a colossal new headquarters campus, a $1.8 billion project encompassing 20 buildings and housing 4,000 employees. Montgomery Holdings had positioned itself as the leading bidder. Reginald had devoted the past 7 months to the proposal, a blur of schmoozing, networking, and leveraging every favor he could recall. The final decision meeting was scheduled for Monday morning, a mere 48 hours away. Reginald, at this moment, was entirely oblivious that he had just watched his own son assault Dr. Ava Sterling. Bianca, too, remained blissfully ignorant. Indeed, no one in that sun-drenched, opulent room possessed a shred of true awareness. Chase Montgomery, a precocious and aggressively entitled 12-year-old, was their only child. He had already been expelled from 2 elite private schools for persistent bullying. His third academy, accepting him only after his parents' generous donation, funded a new arts wing. Chase had never heard the word no. He had never faced genuine consequences. His parents, with their vast wealth and intricate network of connections, always intervened, always made problems vanish with a flick of a checkbook or a well-placed phone call. He was, in essence, a perfectly polished mirror, reflecting every lesson they had unwittingly or intentionally taught him. The ingrained contempt, the pervasive entitlement, the absolute conviction that some people simply mattered less. Ava sat perfectly still, a picture of serene composure, though the chocolate continued its sluggish drip onto her immaculate white collar. With movements so controlled they seemed almost meditative, she reached for a pristine linen napkin. Her breathing remained shallow, measured, each inhale and exhale a conscious effort, yet her hands, beneath the table, trembled almost imperceptibly. Samuel, the club manager, a man of 53, stood near the kitchen doors, his dark skin a stark contrast to the uniforms he oversaw. For 30 years, Samuel had been a fixture at the Verdant Estates, a silent observer of its hidden machinations. He had seen everything, heard everything, and, for his family's sake, said nothing. Bills needed paying, grandchildren needed help through college. He watched Ava's slow, deliberate motion as she dabbed at the chocolate in her hair. His jaw clenched, his fists tightened at his sides. But he remained rooted to his spot, a silent sentinel of unspoken truths. At table 7, an elderly woman named Eleanor, 72 and with a surprisingly keen gaze, began to push herself up, her face etched with a mix of shock and nascent outrage. Her husband Harold, a man whose spine had been bent into conformity by decades of club etiquette, quickly gripped her wrist, pulling her back down with a sharp shake of his head. "Eleanor, don't," he whispered, his voice a low hiss. She sighed, a defeated exhalation, and reluctantly sat back down. Everyone else remained seated. Everyone watched. Nobody offered help. Ava finally placed the stained napkin on the table, the once crisp white linen, now a blotchy canvas of chocolate and self-restraint. She took a slow, deep breath, centering herself, and began to carefully gather her scattered papers. Water, likely from the ice bucket on her table, had somehow spilled, spreading across the crucial documents. Ink bled through pages detailing crucial quarterly projections, strategic plans, and highly confidential proprietary reports from Sterling Dynamics. Her hands moved with a deliberate, almost surgical precision, as if she were defusing a ticking bomb, each movement measured, exact. The silence on the terrace, once punctuated by the Montgomerys' laughter, had deepened, morphing into an awkward anticipatory hush. Bianca Montgomery's voice, sharp and imperious, sliced through the quiet once more. "Samuel?" She snapped her fingers with an audible crack, a gesture of casual command that instantly summoned the manager. "Samuel, get over here!" Samuel, his face a carefully constructed mask of professional neutrality born of years of practice, approached their table. "Yes, Mrs. Montgomery?" he asked, his voice smooth, devoid of inflection. "That woman," Bianca declared, pointing directly at Ava without even bothering to look at her, her disdain palpable. "I don't recall seeing her on the guest list. Did you check her invitation?" Samuel hesitated, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. "Mr. Finch invited her personally, ma'am." Bianca's eyes narrowed, thin lines appearing at their corners. "Arthur Finch invited her?" She let out a short, incredulous laugh. "I find that very hard to believe. He knows our standards." Ava, head still down, continued meticulously stacking the damp papers. One page, then another, then another. Her jaw remained tight, a subtle flex of muscle beneath her skin. "Ma'am, I assure you," Samuel began, but Bianca cut him off abruptly. "Don't assure me of anything." She stood up with a sudden, jarring movement, her chair scraping loudly against the polished marble floor. The sound echoed, stark and intrusive, across the hushed terrace. "I'm going to handle this myself." Her Louis Vuitton heels, precise and expensive, clicked 5 sharp times as she marched across the terrace. Reginald followed in her wake, his phone still in hand, a silent, complicit shadow. Chase, still grinning, trailed behind them, a child reveling in the promise of further chaos. Other diners, drawn by the escalating drama, turned in their seats to watch, some even pulling out their phones to surreptitiously record the unfolding spectacle. The violinist in the corner, startled, missed a note, the delicate melody momentarily faltering. Bianca stopped directly behind Ava's chair, so close that the cloying sweetness of her Chanel No. 5, applied with a heavy hand, became an overwhelming presence. "Excuse me," she stated, her voice like shards of ice. "This is a members-only event. I'm the president of the Ladies' Auxiliary Committee, and I don't recognize you." Ava continued her meticulous task of stacking papers. She didn't turn around, her composure a silent defiance. "I'm talking to you," Bianca's voice rose, edged with indignation. "It's basic manners to look at someone when they're speaking." Ava finally turned, her face calm, unnervingly serene, despite the chocolate still streaking her hair. "I was invited by Mr. Finch," she said quietly, her voice even, controlled. "I have every right to be here." Bianca's laugh was sharp, brittle. Arthur Finch would invite someone dressed like that to a benefactor's event, let's be real. She gestured dismissively at Ava's simple outfit with a perfectly manicured hand. "Jeans to Verdon Estates, what are you, the help?" Reginald stepped closer, his gaze sweeping over Ava with the cold, appraising eye of someone inspecting livestock at auction. "Look, miss," he interjected, a veneer of false reasonableness in his tone. "Nobody wants a scene. Why don't you just leave quietly?" "I have an invitation," Ava repeated, her voice a soft echo of her earlier statement. "From who?" Bianca pressed, crossing her arms, a picture of self-righteous authority. "Show me." "It was verbal," Ava replied. "Mr. Finch called me personally." Bianca smirked, a patronizing twist of her lips. "How convenient. No paper trail." She turned to the watching crowd, an appeal for validation. "Anyone can claim they were invited, right?" A few heads nodded in cautious agreement. Some looked distinctly uncomfortable, but remained silent, their eyes shifting away. Reginald pulled out his phone, a decisive glint in his eye. "I'm calling Arthur right now. We'll get this cleared up." He dialed, waited, then frowned as the call went straight to voicemail. "Damn it, he's on the golf course." "Of course he is." Bianca's smile was predatory. "So we have no proof you were invited. You're wearing jeans, and you were going through corporate documents that don't belong to you." She reached across the table with a sudden, aggressive movement and snatched one of Ava's papers, holding it up to the light, as if inspecting contraband. Her eyes scanned the header. "Sterling Dynamics Q2 Aerospace Projections," Bianca read aloud, her voice dripping with mocking condescension. "Oh, this is rich. Did you steal these from some office? Corporate espionage?" Ava slowly rose to her feet. She was 3 inches taller than Bianca, a fact that seemed to subtly shift the power dynamic in the air. "That's confidential property," Ava stated, her voice a low, steady current beneath the rising tide of Bianca's aggression. "I need it back." "Or what?" Bianca challenged, holding the paper even higher, a triumphant glint in her eyes. "You'll call your lawyer, sweetie? Lawyers cost money." With a theatrical flourish, she ripped the document in half, then in half again. The pieces fluttered to the floor like discarded snow. Oops! The terrace fell into an absolute, breathless silence. Even the delicate strains of the violins, which had tentatively resumed, ceased abruptly. Ava's hands curled into tight fists at her sides, but her breathing remained controlled, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Her therapist's voice, a calm anchor from years past, resonated in her mind. Don't let them see you break. You just destroyed corporate property, Ava said, her voice eerily level, devoid of emotion. Reginald laughed, a harsh, dismissive sound. Lady, I don't know what office you clean, but those documents probably belong to your employer, not you. He stepped closer, close enough for Ava to catch the distinct scent of expensive bourbon on his breath. Let me guess. You're somebody's secretary, an administrative assistant here to pick up your boss? Maybe she's catering staff, Bianca added, a cruel smile twisting her lips. The uniform room is through the kitchen, honey. Laughter rippled through the nearby tables, not everyone, but enough. Ava bent down slowly, a profound stillness in her movements, to collect the torn pieces. Her hands, however, now shook, visibly, uncontrollably. Chase, seeing an opening, a vulnerability, darted forward. With a savage kick, he struck Ava's sleek leather briefcase. It toppled over, its contents erupting across the pristine marble floor. Documents, pens, and her high-tech tablet clattered loudly, the sound echoing through the sudden hush. Chase! Bianca's voice was a theatrical pretense of scolding, laced with unmistakable delight. Stop that! But she was laughing, a high-pitched, gleeful sound. You'll get your shoes dirty. Ava knelt, gathering the scattered papers on her hands and knees, the lingering chocolate from her hair dripping onto the cold marble. Among the scattered debris were a crimson leather folder, a crucial USB drive, and contracts bearing distinct government seals. Reginald watched her, a grotesque tableau of a powerful woman on her knees, his expression a mixture of disgust and amused superiority. Look, sweetheart, he drawled, his voice thick with condescension. I don't know what diversity hire program landed you here, but Verdant Estates is a private club. We have standards. We have traditions. He uttered the word diversity as if it were a foul taste on his tongue. Bianca circled Ava like a predatory shark, her shadow falling across the kneeling figure. What Reginald's trying to say politely is that you'd be more comfortable at the public facilities in town. You know, where people like you usually go. People like you. The words hung in the air, a poisonous, undeniable declaration. No one, not even the most self-deluded diner, could pretend any more what this was truly about. Ava remained on her knees, her face a mask of granite, but her eyes glistened, betraying the unshed tears. Samuel, the club manager, took a hesitant step forward, his professional facade finally beginning to crack. Mrs. Montgomery, perhaps we should... Stay out of this, Samuel. Bianca didn't even turn to look at him, her words a chilling dismissal. Unless you want to join her. Samuel froze, his hands clenching into white-knuckled fists at his sides. 30 years. 30 years of swallowing words, of enduring indignities, of watching the casual cruelty of people like the Montgomerys. Eleanor, the elderly woman at table 7, once again began to rise, her resolve seemingly hardened by the escalating injustice. Bianca, that's enough, she declared, her voice surprisingly firm. Her husband, Harold, quickly yanked her down, a desperate plea in his eyes. Eleanor, don't! She slumped back into her seat, defeated. Ava gathered the last document, tucking it carefully into the ruined briefcase. She rose slowly, deliberately, the briefcase in one hand, the torn fragments of papers clutched in the other. Chocolate stained her blazer, and dampness spread across her jeans. She looked at Bianca, then at Reginald, then at Chase, a silent, encompassing gaze. I understand perfectly, she said, her voice quiet but resonant. More than you know. She turned, her back to them, and began to walk towards the terrace exit, 10 tables separating her from the door. Every eye in the opulent room followed her, a silent, collective judgment, or perhaps a fleeting moment of shame. She made it 5 steps. Chase Montgomery, fueled by the intoxicating high of his parents' approval and the collective silence, grabbed his glass of orange juice. It was half full, pulp swirling near the rim. He wound back his arm, a malicious grin on his face. "Chase, no!" Samuel finally cried out, his voice raw with desperation. But it was too late. The juice hit Ava squarely in the back. A cold, sticky shock spread across her blazer, the orange pulp sliding mockingly down her spine. Bianca's shriek of laughter, high-pitched and delighted, echoed off the vaulted ceiling. She doubled over, clutching her stomach, tears streaming from her eyes. "Oh my God, Chase!" Reginald, beaming with paternal pride, high-fived his son across the table. "That's my boy! That's my boy!" Other parents offered faint smiles. Some shook their heads, but said nothing. A few looked away, unable to meet her gaze. Ava stopped walking. She stood perfectly still, a silent, dignified statue of defiance. Orange juice dripped from her blazer, forming a small, expanding pool on the pristine marble floor. She didn't turn around. She didn't speak. Her shoulders rose and fell with each measured breath, a visible effort to maintain her composure. Then, slowly, deliberately, she reached into her pocket and pulled out her smartphone. The screen was already recording. It had been recording for 23 minutes. She tapped stop, saved the file, then turned. Her face was calm, eerily calm, devoid of any discernible emotion. She looked at Bianca, at Reginald, at Chase, and then, with a sweeping, encompassing gaze, at every single person watching. "I'm leaving now," she announced, voice carrying across the terrace, clear and controlled, each word distinct. "But I'll be in touch." Bianca waved a dismissive hand, a theatrical gesture of unconcern. "Oh, we're so scared." "Samuel, call security. I want her escorted out properly." "That won't be necessary," Ava interjected, her eyes locking onto Reginald. "I know the way." She turned and walked towards the exit. A faint trail of orange juice and melted chocolate marked her passage across the marble floor, each click of her heels measured, deliberate, a rhythmic drumbeat of impending consequence. At the door, she paused, turning back one last time. "See you Monday, Mr. Montgomery." Reginald frowned, genuinely puzzled. "Monday? Lady? I don't even know who you are." Ava smiled, a cold, thin line that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You will?" Then, she was gone. Bianca burst into fresh gales of laughter, a triumphant, almost hysterical sound. "Did she just threaten us? Did everyone hear that?" She pulled out her phone, her thumbs flying across the screen. "This is going on Instagram. When random people crash your event and then make threats. #Verdant Estates Standards." Reginald returned to his table, settling back into his seat and picking up his half-finished mimosa. Crazy woman, probably mentally ill. Chase was still grinning, high on the heady rush of adrenaline and his parents' blatant approval. Samuel stood near the kitchen door, his fists clenched, his knuckles white. His breathing was heavy, ragged. Eleanor leaned towards her husband, whispering urgently, "Harold, that was wrong. We should have said something." "Stay out of it," he hissed back, his face pale. The violins tentatively resumed their melody. Conversations picked up, hesitant at first, then gaining volume. The servers returned to their duties, their faces impassive. The terrace returned to its semblance of normalcy, as if Dr. Ava Sterling had never been there at all. Bianca posted her Instagram story before Ava's car had even left the parking lot. She uploaded a photo taken from behind, capturing Ava's back, the telltale orange juice stain on her blazer as she walked towards the exit. Bianca added a text overlay. "When random people try crashing our events, security handled it, though." She adorned the post with laughing emojis, a gif of someone being ceremoniously escorted out, and a string of hashtags, #Verdant Estates, Standards, #Private Club Life, #Know Your Place. She hit share. Within 10 minutes, the story garnered 600 views. Within 30, it soared to 4,500. Her followers, a digital echo chamber of privilege, began commenting immediately. "OMG, who was that? You're so brave, Bianca, protecting your community." But then, other comments began to appear, dissonant notes in her carefully curated symphony. "This feels racist. What if she was invited? Why are you posting this?" Bianca, with practiced ease, deleted the critical comments and blocked 2 users. She kept scrolling, her finger hovering over a particular comment that made her pause. "Wait, is that Dr. Ava Sterling? She spoke at my university last year. She's a CEO." Bianca quickly screenshotted it, sending it to Reginald with 3 laughing emojis, dismissively believing it was a joke. He didn't respond, absorbed in his mimosa. 64 minutes after Ava's departure, Reginald's phone rang. The caller ID displayed Arthur Finch, club president. Reginald answered cheerfully, his voice smooth and confident. "Art, how's the back 9? "Reginald." Arthur's voice was tight, strained. "I just got 8 texts about an incident at brunch. What happened?" "Oh, that." Reginald waved his free hand dismissively, his face still relaxed. "Some woman tried crashing the event. Bianca handled it. No big deal." "Some woman?" Arthur's voice rose, a tremor of incredulity in his tone. "Reginald? Who was she? What did she look like?" "I don't know," Reginald replied, a slight annoyance creeping into his voice. "Black woman, jeans, didn't belong. Claimed you invited her, but—" "Oh, God!" Arthur's breathing was audible, ragged. "Oh, God! Reginald, what did you do?" "What?" Reginald asked, genuinely confused. "We asked her to leave. She was going through corporate documents, probably stolen. We were protecting—" "That was Dr. Ava Sterling." Silence. Reginald's mimosa glass, halfway to his lips, froze in midair. "What?" "Dr. Ava Sterling, CEO of Sterling Dynamics. I invited her personally to discuss the environmental science sponsorship." The terrace, moments ago comfortably warm, suddenly felt oppressively hot. Reginald's collar seemed to constrict, suffocating him. That's not possible. She looked like..." "Like what, Reginald?" Arthur's voice was now pure ice, every syllable weighted with frigid contempt. "Now finish that sentence." Reginald swallowed hard, his throat dry. "She wasn't dressed like a CEO. She was conducting an anonymous evaluation of our club's culture before committing $7 million to our program, Reginald." Arthur paused, allowing the gravity of the words to sink in. "What did you do? What did you?" Reginald's mouth was bone dry. "There was a misunderstanding. My son, Bianca, we didn't know." "Your son," Arthur repeated, his voice laced with dread. "What did Chase do?" Reginald didn't answer immediately. "Reginald, what did your son do to her?" "He threw some food," Reginald mumbled, trying to downplay it. "It was a joke. Kids being kids." "He threw food at a guest I personally invited?" Arthur's voice cracked, on the verge of shouting. "Are you insane?" "It was just a croissant," Reginald protested weakly. "And what else?" Reginald's hand was sweating, slick against his phone. "Orange juice, maybe. Bianca might have said some things, but we didn't know who she was." "That's exactly the problem, Reginald." Arthur was breathing hard now, a desperate struggle for air. "You didn't need to know. You should treat every guest with respect." Reginald hung up, staring at his phone, a cold dread seeping into his bones. He then nervously typed, "Dr. Ava Sterling, CEO," into the search bar. The screen instantly filled with results, her Forbes profile, recent interviews, corporate headshots exuding confidence, a TED Talk with 3 million views. He clicked on images. There she was. Professional photo. Impeccably tailored blazer, subtle pearl earrings, hair perfectly styled, a confident, knowing smile. The same face. The same woman. His stomach plummeted, a sickening lurch as if an elevator cable had snapped. He scrolled frantically, finding Sterling Dynamics' official website, then the Headquarters Project Request for Proposals link. He clicked the procurement page. His company's name, Montgomery Holdings, was prominently listed, lead bidder status, under final review. The final decision meeting, Monday, 9:00 a.m., 29 hours away. Reginald's vision blurred. The opulent terrace spun around him. He grabbed the table for support, his knuckles white. "Bianca!" His voice came out as a strangled croak. "Bianca, get over here!" She was 3 tables away, animatedly showing off her Instagram post to friends. "What?" she called back, her tone laced with annoyance. "I'm busy now." The curtness of his demand, however, made her stand. She walked over, a distinct pout on her face. "What's wrong with you?" "That woman." Reginald's voice was barely audible, a fragile whisper. "The one Chase threw food at." "What about her?" "That was Dr. Ava Sterling." Bianca blinked, her carefully constructed facade momentarily crumbling. "Who?" "Dr. Ava Sterling, CEO of Sterling Dynamics, the company I'm bidding for," Reginald rasped, his hands visibly shaking. "A $1.8 billion contract. The final meeting is Monday." Bianca's face went white, the Botox unable to hide the sudden terror in her eyes. No, she wasn't. I just Googled her. It's her. The same woman." Bianca snatched his phone, her own hands beginning to tremble as she stared at the photos. Oh my God, Reginald. That's not possible. She was dressed like... I know what she was dressed like." Reginald stood abruptly, his chair falling backward with a resounding crash against the marble. Every head on the terrace turned. "And you posted it on Instagram." "I'll delete it." Bianca was already pulling out her phone, her fingers fumbling with urgency. "Right now, I'll delete it." She opened Instagram. The story was still live. Views, 3,400. Shares, 47. She hit delete. A pop-up message appeared. "Story has been shared. Deletion may not remove all copies." No. Bianca's finger jabbed frantically at the screen, a desperate, futile attempt. Delete. But it was too late. Screenshots already existed. People had saved it, shared it to other platforms. "What do we do?" Bianca's voice was shrill, on the verge of hysteria. "We apologize, right? We send flowers, a donation. We explain it was a misunderstanding." Reginald was already hunched over his phone, typing an email, his fingers fumbling clumsily over the keys. "Dear Ms. Sterling," he began, "there has been a terrible misunderstanding this morning. My family and I deeply regret." He stopped, read it back. It sounded pathetic, insincere. He deleted it. Started again. "Ms. Sterling, I would like to apologize personally for any confusion at Verdant Estates today. Perhaps we could meet for dinner this week to discuss..." Delete. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "Hello, Mr. Montgomery." A woman's voice. Professional, cold. "This is Rebecca Vance from the Hudson Chronicle. We received information about an incident at Verdant Estates Country Club this morning. Would you care to comment?" Reginald hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Different number. He declined the call. A text from his business partner. "Reginald, I'm seeing something online about Verdant Estates. What happened?" Another text from his company's VP. "Boss, we need to talk. Urgent." An email notification flashed on his screen. Subject: Sterling Dynamics meeting status update. Delay. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the phone. He didn't open the email. He couldn't. Bianca was pacing now, a frantic, caged animal. "This is fixable. We explain. We apologize. Rich people forgive rich people. That's how it works." "We're not rich like her," Reginald said quietly, his voice hollow. "What?" Bianca asked, momentarily halting her pacing. "Her company is worth $2.3 billion. We're worth $890 million. He laughed, a short, hysterical sound. "We're not even in the same league." Chase appeared beside the table, still beaming, oblivious to the gathering storm. "Dad, did you see? I got her good with the juice right in the back." Reginald looked at his son, truly looked at him, and in that moment, he saw himself, saw Bianca, saw everything they had unwittingly taught this child. "Go to the car," Reginald said, his voice flat. "But—" Chase's smile slowly faded, replaced by confusion. He walked away, slowly, bewildered. Bianca's phone started buzzing relentlessly. Notifications from her deleted story, people tagging her in posts. Her Instagram was a cacophony of digital alerts. She opened one tag. Someone had screenshotted her story and reposted it with new text. Bianca Montgomery and family assault. Dr. Ava Sterling, CEO of Sterling Dynamics at Verdant Estates Country Club. Dr. Sterling is worth $2.3 billion and was evaluating the club for a $7 million donation. The Montgomerys just destroyed everything. The post had garnered 1,200 likes, 150 shares, and had been live for only 7 minutes. "Reginald." Bianca's voice was small now, childlike, fragile. "Reginald, people know. Everyone knows." His phone rang again. This time he recognized the number. Arthur Finch. He answered. "Reginald, emergency board meeting tomorrow, 1:00 p.m. You and Bianca, mandatory." Arthur hung up before Reginald could respond. Another call. His lawyer. "Reginald, I'm seeing things online. Don't say anything to anyone. Not reporters, not friends, no social media. Call me back immediately." A text from his mother. "What is this I'm hearing about Verdant Estates? Call me." A text from his sister. "Reginald, what the hell did you do?" Emails from 3 different clients. "We need to discuss our contract." Bianca was scrolling through Instagram, her follower count plummeting. 60,000, 59,500, 58,000. Falling like dominoes. Comments flooded in. "Racist. Disgusting behavior. I'm unfollowing. This is why we need to eat the rich." She was crying now, mascara running in dark streaks down her face. "Make it stop, Reginald! Make it stop!" But he couldn't. Because at that exact moment across town, Dr. Ava Sterling sat in her home office. The recording was crystal clear, 23 minutes. Every word, every laugh, every insult. She had already sent it to her attorney, Lena Petrova, a civil rights specialist with 3 decades of experience, called back within 10 minutes. "Ava, this is everything. Audio is perfect. Multiple witnesses will corroborate. You have assault, battery, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. We can file Monday." "What about criminal charges?" Ava asked, her voice calm, devoid of emotion. "Possible," Lena replied. "The DA will want to review. Child assault statutes are tricky, but the parents are liable for supervision." Lena paused. "How much do you want to pursue this?" Ava touched her hair, still slightly sticky with chocolate. She looked at her blazer, hanging over her chair, the orange juice stain now a permanent glaring mark. "All of it," she said. "I want all of it." "Good." Lena's smile was audible, even through the phone. "Because I just got off the phone with the NAACP. They want to discuss a class action against Verdant Estates. Apparently, 3 other families of color were rejected for membership under Bianca's committee." Ava pulled up Bianca's deleted Instagram story on her phone. Someone had sent her the screenshot. She stared at it for a long moment, then forwarded it to her company's PR team. Subject line: "Prepare a statement. Press conference Monday, 11:00 a.m." She stood, walked to her window, and looked out at the glittering city lights, a vast, indifferent ocean of possibility. Somewhere out there, the Montgomerys were panicking. Good. Let them panic. Let them feel what she had felt, kneeling on that floor. Let them understand what consequences actually meant. She smiled. For the first time since that morning, she truly smiled. Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. Reginald Montgomery stood in the gleaming lobby of Sterling Dynamics. Marble floors stretched 50 feet, polished to a mirror shine, reflecting the floor-to-ceiling windows that flooded the space with brilliant, unforgiving light. The air smelled of new leather, abstract art, and the undeniable scent of money. He wore his finest suit, bespoke brioni, charcoal gray, a $6,000 garment, clutching a bouquet of pristine white roses in his trembling hand, $200 worth, purchased from a florist who had opened early just for him. He had rehearsed his apology 17 times in front of his bathroom mirror, each word meticulously chosen, each inflection practiced. His hands were sweating, slick against the delicate rose stems. The receptionist, young, impeccably professional, looked up, her smile an icy, unyielding barrier. "Mr. Montgomery?" "Yes, 9 o'clock a.m. meeting with Ms. Sterling." He placed the flowers gently on her desk. "Could you give her these, with my sincerest apologies?" Her smile didn't waver, a fixed, unsettling perfection. "Mr. Montgomery, there's been a schedule change. Ms. Sterling is unavailable." "Unavailable?" His voice cracked, thin and reedy. "The contract presentation, the final decision? My team flew in." "You should check your email," she suggested, her tone devoid of sympathy. Reginald pulled out his phone, his hands shaking so violently he nearly dropped it. An email, received at exactly 9 o'clock a.m. Subject: Sterling Dynamics HQ Project Bid Status. Update. He opened it, the words blurring before his eyes. He read the first line 3 times. "Dear Mr. Montgomery, after comprehensive review, Sterling Dynamics has decided to pursue alternative partnerships for headquarters campus project. Your firm's bid has been withdrawn from consideration effective immediately. This decision is final. We wish you success in future endeavors." The phone slipped from his grasp, clattering loudly on the polished marble. $1.8 billion. Gone. The receptionist, unperturbed, picked up his phone and handed it back. "Anything else, Mr. Montgomery?" He couldn't speak. Behind him, the elevator chimed softly. His project team emerged. 6 people, architects, engineers, all dressed in their sharpest suits, ready for the presentation of their lives. "Reginald?" His lead architect approached, a confused frown on his face. "Conference room?" "Go home," Reginald managed, his voice hollow, defeated. "What?" "We lost it. Go home." They stood frozen, mouths agape, briefcases still clutched in their hands. Reginald walked past them, through the silent lobby, out the glass doors and into the parking garage. He sat in his Mercedes for 20 minutes, staring blankly ahead. His phone rang. Bianca. "Did you fix it?" Her voice was desperate. "Did you apologize?" "We lost the contract." Silence on the other end. "What?" $1.8 billion gone. Bianca's breathing was sharp, ragged. "But you apologized. The flowers." "Doesn't matter. She canceled at exactly 9 o'clock a.m., probably decided Saturday night." "Reginald, what do we do?" "I don't know." He hung up. Across town, Dr. Ava Sterling entered a packed conference room. 20 journalists, 5 major news stations, a forest of NPR microphones, and photographers lined the walls. She wore a charcoal gray power suit, her hair immaculately styled, her makeup flawless. She looked like power incarnate. Attorney Lena Petrova stood to her left. 2 stern-faced NAACP representatives flanked her right. Ava approached the podium. A hush fell, broken only by the rhythmic click of camera shutters. "Good morning. Thank you for coming." Her voice was steady, resonant, each word delivered with deliberate, unwavering precision. "On Saturday, July 12th, I attended the Verdant Estates Country Club as an invited guest. I was evaluating the club for a $7 million environmental science donation." Cameras flashed. Journalists typed furiously. "Instead, I was physically assaulted by a 12-year-old child. His parents laughed. I was told I didn't belong. I was accused of theft. I was subjected to racial slurs and publicly humiliated." She paused, allowing the gravity of her words to hang in the air. "I recorded everything. The room erupted. Questions were shouted over each other, a cacophony of demanding voices. Ava raised one hand. Silence fell again. "I'll play 30 seconds now." She nodded. Audio filled the room. Bianca's voice, crystal clear. "What the hell is she doing here?" The sickening impact sound, the croissant. Bianca's laugh, vicious, delighted. That's what happens when trash doesn't know its place. Reginald's voice. "You're out now before I have you arrested." Chase's young, cruel voice. "I got her good." The recording stopped. Several journalists covered their mouths in shock. One was openly crying. Ava continued, her voice unwavering. "This isn't one isolated incident. This is systemic discrimination, built on assumptions based on appearance, the daily indignity people of color face, regardless of achievement." She looked directly into the camera, her eyes piercing. "I have a PhD from Caltech. I built a $2.3 billion company. I employ 15,000 people. None of that protected me from being treated like trash." Her voice didn't waver, a testament to her unyielding resolve. "Today, I'm filing a civil suit against the Montgomery family. Assault, battery, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress." Lena Petrova stepped forward, her expression grim. "The NAACP is investigating Verdant Estates membership practices. We have evidence of systematic discrimination." Ava held up her phone. Bianca's Instagram screenshot appeared on the large screen behind her. "Mrs. Montgomery posted this publicly, mocking me. She deleted it, but the internet is forever." A reporter raised her hand. "Ms. Sterling, your company just canceled a $1.8 billion contract with Montgomery Holdings. Is that retaliation?" Ava's face was stone. "My board decided independently. I recused myself due to conflict. But I'll say this. Sterling Dynamics partners with companies that share our values. Character matters in business." Another reporter, emboldened, asked, "What do you want?" Ava looked directly into the camera, her gaze holding the weight of generations of injustice. "Accountability, consequences." Her voice softened slightly, but lost none of its power. "I want people to understand that wealth doesn't grant permission for cruelty. Power doesn't excuse prejudice." She stepped back, concluding her statement. "Thank you. No further questions." The room exploded with voices. Ava, flanked by security, walked out, her head held high. 10 minutes later, the press conference trended on Twitter. 30 minutes later, major networks ran the story. Within an hour, it was national news. By noon, the Montgomery's world was engulfed in flames. Reginald sat in his car, watching his phone explode with notifications. Clients calling, lawyers calling, his mother, his business partners, everyone. He didn't answer any of them. He just stared at the Sterling Dynamics building through his windshield, the building that should have been his greatest achievement. Now, it was his grave. Reginald released a statement at 2:00 p.m. Monday. His lawyer had written it. 3 drafts, careful language, legally vetted to within an inch of its life. "I deeply regret a misunderstanding that occurred at the Verdant Estates Country Club. My family and I sincerely apologize to Ms. Sterling. We acted without full information and are committed to learning from this experience." He posted it on LinkedIn, his company website, and emailed it to every client. The internet tore it apart in minutes. "Misunderstanding? You assaulted her. You're only sorry you got caught. Without full information? You didn't need information to treat her with respect. Pathetic." By 3:00 p.m., his phone was still exploding. 3 major clients terminated contracts. Shopping center deals worth $22 million. Office park renovations worth $15 million. All gone. The emails were identical, professional, and cold. "After careful consideration, we've decided to pursue other partnerships. This decision reflects our commitment to values-based business relationships." Values-based. The phrase was a fresh wound, twisting a knife in his gut. Reginald's business partner called. "Reginald, the board wants you out. They're voting Wednesday. I built this company. Your grandfather built it. You're destroying it." The line went dead. Bianca posted an Instagram video at 4:02 p.m. She sat in their opulent bedroom, makeup smeared, eyes swollen and red, hair disheveled. "I made a terrible mistake." Her voice shook, brittle with feigned regret. "I judged someone without knowing them. I'm so sorry." Tears streamed down her face. "I'm not a racist. I have black friends. I volunteer at the community center. I donate to—" The comments came instantly, a torrent of scorn. "You don't have black friends. You're crying because you got caught, not because you're sorry. I'm not racist is exactly what racists say. You show your true colors. Own it." Her follower count dropped. 60,000. 55,000. 48,000. Falling like dominoes. Sponsorship emails arrived. High-end jewelry brands, luxury skincare lines, designer handbag companies, all with the same message. "We're terminating our partnership effective immediately. Your recent actions don't align with our brand values." Bianca read each one, her hands shaking uncontrollably, her breathing coming in ragged gasps. She had spent 5 years building her influencer career. 5 years of perfectly curated photos, aspirational lifestyle content, brand deals worth 6 figures annually, all gone in 4 hours. Chase's private school called at 5:00 p.m. The headmaster's voice was grave. "Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery, the board has reviewed Saturday's incident. Combined with Chase's previous behavioral issues, we've decided his enrollment at Sterlingwood Academy is no longer tenable." "You're expelling him?" Bianca's voice was a shrill shriek. "We donated an arts wing." "We're refunding your donation. Chase's behavior represents a liability we cannot accept. He's 12 years old. He assaulted a guest at a country club, and his parents encouraged it. This reveals a pattern we should have addressed earlier." The headmaster paused. "I'm sorry. The decision is final." Bianca called 4 other elite private schools. All had waiting lists. All said they'd call back. None did. The Verdant Estates Country Club's board met Monday evening. An emergency session. All 12 members present. Arthur Finch presided, his face gray, etched with exhaustion. He hadn't slept. "We have audio evidence, video from multiple members' phones, social media posts." He placed printed screenshots on the table. "The Montgomerys assaulted an invited guest, a guest I personally invited to discuss a $7 million donation." Board member Dr. Victoria Chen spoke, her voice sharp. "We need to act decisively. This is a PR catastrophe." "It's more than PR." Another member added, his voice grim. "It's moral bankruptcy." The vote was unanimous. The Montgomery family membership, permanently revoked. Access to all facilities, terminated immediately. The letter was delivered by courier at 7:00 p.m. Bianca opened it with shaking hands, reading aloud, her voice trembling. "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery, the Verdant Estates Country Club Board of Directors has voted to permanently revoke your family membership, effective immediately. This decision follows conduct unbecoming of Verdant Estates values, including assault on an invited guest and racial harassment. Your access cards have been deactivated. Please arrange to collect your personal items from your locker by Friday." She dropped the letter. It fluttered to the floor like a dead leaf. "This is our entire social life." Her voice was small, broken. Reginald stared blankly at the wall. "It's worse than that." His phone buzzed. Another email from his bank. "Dear Mr. Montgomery, we'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss your business loan terms. Several recent developments require review of your credit facility." They were calling his loans. $60 million in active financing. Projects under construction. Payroll to meet. If the bank pulled out, everything would collapse. Bianca looked at him, mascara streaking her face. "What do we do?" Reginald's laugh was bitter, empty. "We beg Beg who? Dr. Ava Sterling. He picked up his phone, started typing an email. We beg for mercy. His hands shook so badly he could barely type. Please, Ms. Sterling, I have 400 employees depending on this. I'm begging you, 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes to apologize properly. He hit send, stared at the screen. No response came. None would. The story went viral Tuesday morning. CNN ran it at 6 a.m. Tech CEO assaulted at country club. Audio reveals racial harassment. MSNBC followed at 7 o'clock. When privilege meets power, the Ava Sterling case. Fox News at 8 o'clock. Country club controversy sparks national debate. By noon, Ava Sterling's name was trending on Twitter. Number 1. Ava Sterling. Hashtag Verdant Estates. Racism. Hashtag Everyday. Racism. TikTok exploded. Bianca's haughty laugh from the recording became a ubiquitous sound clip. Millions of videos, people mocking her voice, acting out the scene, calling for justice. The audio snippet had 20 million plays in 24 hours. Memes flooded Instagram. Side-by-side photos of Bianca's deleted post next to Ava's Forbes cover. Caption: When you assault a billionaire and don't even know it. Chase's orange juice throw became an animated GIF, shared 300,000 times. Ava appeared on Good Morning America Wednesday. The host, Sarah Chen, leaned forward, sympathetic but impeccably professional. Dr. Sterling, walk us through what happened Saturday. Ava's voice was calm, measured. She had told this story 100 times now. It didn't get easier. I went to evaluate the club's culture to see if they deserved a $7 million investment. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Within an hour, a child threw food at my head. His parents laughed. They told me I didn't belong. They accused me of theft. They had me escorted out. And you recorded everything? I did. I've learned to document discrimination. It's the only protection we have. Sarah Chen's voice dropped, edged with solemnity. How did it feel at that moment? Ava's eyes went distant, reflective. Like, no matter what I achieve, I'll always be judged by my skin first. My credentials are second, if at all. The interview clip garnered 15 million views. Business schools started using the case. Harvard, Stanford, Wharton. Ethics and Corporate Partnerships. The Sterling Montgomery Case Study. Students debated, was pulling the contract justified? Was it retaliation or accountability? Most sided with Ava. The Hudson Chronicle ran a deeper investigation Thursday. Front page banner headline: Montgomery Holdings, a pattern of discrimination. The reporter, Daniel Klein, had interviewed 57 people. Former employees, rejected tenants, business partners. The stories were damning. A black family, the Dubois, was denied an apartment in 2022. Their application was perfect. Credit score over 800. Combined income $250,000. Rejected for insufficient references. A white family, the Cunninghams, with worse credit, was approved the same week. A former Montgomery employee testified, Reginald would look at applications and say things like, not the right fit for our properties. Everyone knew what that meant. Email evidence surfaced. Reginald reviewing rental applications. One email to his property manager. The Dubois application. I don't think they're Montgomery material. Find a reason. The Dubois were black. Another email. Let's prioritize the Cunningham family. They'll fit better with our tenant community. The Cunninghams were white. Federal housing investigators opened a case Friday. Possible Fair Housing Act violations. Systematic discrimination in rental practices. Fines could reach tens of millions. Criminal charges were now a distinct possibility. Verdant Estates investigation expanded. The NAACP found 4 families, all rejected for membership in the past 2 years, all people of color, all with credentials that exceeded most current members. Dr. Adrian Vance, a renowned neurosurgeon from Yale Medical School, annual income $500,000. Rejected. Reason given: membership at capacity. 2 white families were approved the same month. Judge Sophia Ramirez, a federal judge from Harvard Law, impeccable reputation. Rejected. Reason: not enough member recommendations. She had 4 recommendations. The minimum required was 2. The Henderson family, both parents successful attorneys, children attending top private schools. Rejected. Reason: concerns about cultural fit. Cultural fit. The phrase appeared in 21 rejection letters over 5 years. Every single rejected family was non-white. Former committee members started talking. Anonymous interviews published online. Bianca controlled everything. She'd look at photos and make snap judgments. She once said we needed to maintain the club's traditional character. We all knew what she meant. If a minority family applied, she'd find reasons. Always reasons that sounded legitimate, but weren't. The NAACP filed a class action lawsuit Wednesday. $15 million in damages, federal discrimination charges, demands for systematic reform. Verdant Estates' board panicked. Emergency measures were implemented. They hired a diversity consultant, announced mandatory unconscious bias training for all members, and pledged to fast-track minority applications. Too little, too late. 68 members resigned in protest, not because of the discrimination, but because of the reforms. 1 resignation letter leaked online. Verdant Estates has lost its way. The club was built on certain standards. Those standards are now being destroyed by political correctness. The letter went viral. The member who wrote it was identified. His prestigious law firm dropped him. Ava's legal team prepared for trial. Lena Petrova assembled a devastating case. Audio evidence, video from 5 different phones, social media posts, witness testimony, medical records documenting emotional distress, a lineup of expert witnesses. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a leading psychologist, testified about racial trauma. Public humiliation based on race causes documented PTSD symptoms, anxiety, depression, hypervigilance. Dr. Julian Hayes, a sociologist specializing in institutional racism, testified about country club discrimination. These institutions have historically excluded people of color. They've adapted their language, but the discrimination persists, often coded and insidious. Samuel, the Verdant Estates manager, agreed to testify. After 30 years of silence, he finally spoke. "I've watched the Montgomerys humiliate people for years. Staff, guests, anyone they deemed beneath them. Saturday was just the first time someone fought back." Eleanor, the elderly woman who tried to help, also testified. "I'm ashamed I didn't stand up. I'm ashamed it took this long. But Bianca Montgomery has been cruel for years. We all looked away. The Montgomerys tried desperately to settle. Their attorney made offers, $3 million, then $6 million, then $10 million. Lena brought each offer to Ava. Ava refused them all. "I want a trial. I want testimony on public record. I want everyone to see what happened." "This isn't about money," Lena observed. "No," Ava confirmed, her gaze unwavering. "It's about accountability." The trial was set. October 15th, Federal Courthouse, Justice Elena Rodriguez presiding. Media credentials were requested by 250 outlets. The judge limited it to 75. Courtroom capacity, 150 seats. Demand, thousands. The trial would be live-streamed, the first time in New York federal court history. Meanwhile, the Montgomerys were drowning. Reginald's company lost 60% of its value. 8 clients were gone, 4 projects canceled. The bank restructured his loans with devastating terms, higher interest, shorter timelines. Personal guarantees required. He laid off 80 employees, then 50 more. His CFO resigned. His VP of operations quit. The company that once employed 400 now employed 220 and was still shrinking. Bianca's influencer career was dead. 5,000 followers remained. No sponsorships, no brand deals, no income. Her friends stopped calling. Her charity boards removed her. Her book club uninvited her. She was a pariah. Chase was in public school now, the only option left. He was bullied daily, relentlessly, by kids who recognized him, by kids whose parents had shown them the videos. One afternoon, someone threw food at him in the cafeteria. The principal called Bianca. "We need to discuss Chase's safety." Bianca hung up without responding. The irony, a bitter, palpable taste, was not lost on anyone. Autumn arrived. The leaves turned vibrant shades of gold and red. The trial date approached. The Montgomerys had one last, desperate card to play. A complete, unequivocal public apology on national television. They arranged an interview with NBC for prime time, their final, futile attempt at redemption. It would not go as planned. The trial lasted 4 weeks. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. Unanimous verdict, guilty on all counts. $12.5 million in damages. $4.5 million compensatory, $8 million punitive. The jury foreman, a retired history teacher, spoke to reporters afterward. "We wanted to send a message. Wealth doesn't excuse cruelty. Power doesn't grant permission to discriminate." Criminal charges followed. The prosecutor was thorough. Assault, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, child endangerment. The Montgomerys pleaded no contest, avoiding a lengthy public trial and minimizing publicity. Justice Rodriguez was not lenient. 300 hours of community service each, mandatory diversity education programs, teaching tolerance workshops, 5 years probation. Any violation meant jail time. Chase was placed in intensive therapy, weekly sessions mandatory for 3 years, along with community service at a youth center serving underprivileged kids. The judge's words were pointed. This child learned hatred from his parents. Perhaps serving those he was taught to despise will teach him humanity. Reginald filed for bankruptcy 9 months later. Personal and corporate assets liquidated. The sprawling mansion was sold at auction. $18 million gone to creditors and legal fees. They moved to a rental apartment, 2 bedrooms, 1,800 square feet. The kind of place they once wouldn't have even noticed. Reginald worked as a consultant now, small projects, a modest income. His reputation preceded him. Doors that once opened automatically were now permanently closed. Bianca worked retail at a department store cosmetics counter, minimum wage plus commission. Her manager was a black woman named Renee. Bianca called her ma'am. The irony was suffocating. Verdant Estates settled the class action. $15 million to the rejected families. Mandatory reforms were put in place, including diversity quotas. 50% of new members must be people of color for 5 years. Club hired Dr. Marcus Thorne as its chief diversity officer. He implemented sweeping changes, comprehensive bias training for all members, zero tolerance policies for discrimination, and an anonymous complaint system. 75 members resigned in protest, not because of the discrimination, but because of the reforms. They joined other, equally exclusive clubs that still championed traditional values. But Verdant Estates survived, irrevocably changed, better. Ava Sterling stood in the lobby of Sterling Dynamics 3 months after the verdict, a company town hall. 1,500 employees filled the auditorium, thousands more watching via live stream. That day at Verdant Estates, I had a choice. Her voice carried across the room, clear and strong. Stay silent and take the high road, or stand up and demand accountability. She paused, letting the words settle, their weight felt by everyone present. I chose to stand, not just for me, For every person of color who's been judged, dismissed, humiliated for simply existing in spaces others deem not for you. Applause erupted, a thunderous wave of affirmation. She waited for silence. People ask if I regret how it escalated. Never, because silence enables oppression. Silence protects abusers. Silence tells the next Chase Montgomery that cruelty has no consequences. She smiled, warm now, genuinely. Today, I'm announcing the Beyond Appearances Initiative, a $30 million fund for full scholarships for students of color in STEM fields, 20 university partnerships, 250 students in our first class. The applause was deafening, a roar of collective hope and pride. My success is my activism. Every door I open, I hold for others. Every table I sit at, I pull up more chairs. 6 months later, Ava spoke at a civil rights conference in Atlanta. 6,000 attendees, a standing ovation before she even reached the podium. The Montgomerys learned an expensive lesson. She began, her voice resonating through the cavernous hall. Character has no dress code. Respect isn't reserved for people you recognize. Dignity isn't determined by designer labels. She looked across the crowd, at faces of every color, every background, every story. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. This story isn't unique. Every single day, people of color face judgment based on appearance, assumptions based on skin color, dismissal based on stereotypes. Her voice intensified, passionate now, filled with an unyielding conviction. The difference? I had the resources to fight back. Most don't. Most swallow the insult. Most walk away silently. Most carry the wound forever. She gripped the podium, her gaze sweeping across the rapt audience. So I'm asking you, when you see it happen, speak up. When you witness discrimination, document it. When you have power, use it to protect those who don't. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Because the Montgomerys aren't the exception, they're a symptom. And until we all commit to calling out injustice, nothing changes. If this story moved you, share it. Let it spark conversations about bias and accountability. Comment below. Have you witnessed discrimination? How did you respond? Subscribe to Voice Unmuted for more stories where justice prevails and the underestimated triumph. Hit that notification bell. These stories need to be told. But here's what I want you to think about tonight. How many Dr. Ava Sterlings have you dismissed based on a first glance? How many times has your assumption robbed someone of basic dignity? The truth is uncomfortable. We've all been the Montgomerys at some point, making judgments without information, assumptions without evidence. The question isn't whether you've done it. It's whether you'll do it again. What's your answer? Ava's face filled the screen, confident, powerful, looking directly into the camera. She wasn't asking permission anymore. She was demanding change, and the world was finally listening.